So it's time to get started on your first major assignment in the course, the informative podcast. Make sure that you complete your plan before you get started on the actual podcast. So let's imagine that you have a really awesome idea for a recurring podcast talk show. Your producer asks you to submit a brief sample of what viewers and listeners can expect each week from this podcast. He asks you to focus on an informative topic. So you could talk about a place, you could talk about an event, a person, a process, pretty much anything and everything under the sun, as long as you stick to being informative and objective. A little bit more like a reporter would. So now let's talk about how you're actually going to put together this podcast. Once you've chosen a topic, you need to create an enhanced keynote or a full podcast in GarageBand. An enhanced keynote is a presentation that has audio recorded over it. Whichever option you choose, your presentation needs to be visually driven. It needs to include your voice speaking, and it needs to also include a little bit of introductory and outro music. Instead of playing a track the entire time, just play a little bit at the beginning and at the end. Your podcast should be between 2 to 4 minutes, so make sure to narrow yourself down to something that you can really manage in that time period. If you take a look at the assignments, there's instructions on how to convert your keynote into images if you're going to import them into GarageBand or iMovie. There's also instructions for how to export your show once you're ready. You can find several links on how to do podcasts towards the end of the assignment. And you can always, as I've mentioned before, contact me via iChat or email if you have any questions. Okay, a few final words to the wise. You have 2 weeks to complete this assignment. It is very important that you work throughout those 2 weeks so that you don't feel overwhelmed by trying to complete the assignment all at once at the end of that time period. I will be grading you according to the rubric that you can find in this assignment. Please take a close look at it and ask me any questions you might have in terms of how you're going to be graded for this work. I look forward to taking those awesome topics you developed in discussion 2 and turning them into even more awesome podcasts. Let's get to work.